Hello, how's everybody doing today? My name is George. I'm the head of sales here at Financial Sense. If you guys don't know me already, it's a pleasure to meet you all. For those of you that haven't done one of these with me before, I love kind of going through and the whole point of today is to go through kind of demo the product a little bit, show you guys how the system will work, as well as help answer some questions that you guys might have. So, first and foremost, I just want to put some kind of housekeeping rules. I will be answering questions, and the best way to make sure that I see your question is to put it in the Q&A section of the comments. So if you look at the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a little comment section. If you guys can hear me, go ahead and please start putting something in there, letting me know you can hear me. Also, let's go ahead and I love understanding where you guys are coming in from, where you guys are located. I'm out of Houston, Texas myself. So if you guys can, let me know where you're calling or where you're joining us from down there in the community or down there in the comment section. But if you look just underneath there, you will see the Q&A little bubbles. That's where I'll actually be looking for our questions later on. So I'm going to try to answer questions as we kind of go through, but that's definitely the best place for me to see them. So let me see. Tosine's messaging me. Oh, okay. Good deal. And Tosine's on the call as well, guys. You'll see her as a host on here. She'll help me answer questions, and if I miss a question or so, she'll remind me of it. So cool. So I'm seeing some folks coming in. Palo Alto, nice. Let's see, New Jersey, Indianapolis, Northern Colorado. Sorry, I was just talking to someone from North Carolina a little bit ago. All right, Utah, New York. All right. It's a pleasure to have all of you guys on the call with us. And just see. Give just another minute before we actually get the demo itself started. All right. And if you guys have seen the demo before, let me know. Try to always make it a little fresh. Show new features that we've recently added. We added quite a few features all the time. So we got a big one today that I'm going to talk about, which is our proposals. So excited to get to kind of show you guys how that's going to work as well. One that we've been working on for a minute, and we actually were able to release last week. So we'll talk a little bit about that. All right. So without making you guys wait too long, let's go ahead and kind of get this started. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see. Okay, you guys should be able to see my screen now. Let me know if you can. Give me some thumbs up emojis in the comments or some comments in the section. Let me know. All right. Looks like y'all can. Perfect. So when we talk about Financial Sense, right, just to get a good, clear understanding of the base of the system at the core, what we've always done is help you guys manage your workflow. And we were built specifically for the accounting space, whether that's, payroll, bookkeeping, CAS, tax, audit, whatever services you provide, we can actually help out with here. And the idea behind the system is to help manage that workflow. Because that's the idea behind the platform, when you first log into Financial Sense, you're generally going to see a screen similar to this. Now, depending on your stance in the company and where you're at on as far as like permission levels on the account, you may or may not be able to see everything. Right now, I'm logged in as an owner on the account, so I have full visibility to see everything going on, which is why up here at the top, I can look at this with no filters turned on. I can tell that we have 52 total projects that we're currently working on, that are currently open. Now, these filters up here are designed for me to be able to build out different types of reports. And I can actually save those reports in here so I can quickly access what I need to in the future, right? So I don't have to keep rebuilding reports to see the same thing that I want to be able to see. So being able to use these filters, I can do things like I can filter it by the tag that's on here, right? So if I only want to see the things that are, say, in preparation, I can easily filter and see everything that's in preparation. If I only want to see things that are due in a certain time frame, like let's say this month, I can filter it down there. So as you guys saw, we just went from 52 down to 2 just like that, right? I can also filter by the type of work we're doing, if it's bookkeeping, payroll, tax, all that. I can filter by the accounting period. I can filter by who the work is assigned to, both currently assigned or anyone that's assigned to that work. So I can pick and say, show me anything, or show me all projects where George is assigned at any point in the work, right? Or just where George is currently the one that's assigned to the work, meaning it's currently sitting on this person's desk, right? I can also filter by the client. You can also filter by what's called client groups. Okay, and I'm gonna clear this so I can actually show you guys a little bit on the client groups. This is probably one of my favorite features, and it's really an important one in my opinion, because of the fact that you can create a group for anything that you guys want, right? I do bookkeeping work, I do payroll work, I do tax work, I do audits. I can create a group, and any of my clients that I do that specific work for, I can put them in that group, right? So I might have several different types of groups throughout the account. But a single client can be a part of multiple groups. And the reason this comes in so handy, in my opinion, is because I know you guys have a lot of time you guys will have clients where, that client is a serial entrepreneur. They have multiple businesses. They have multiple different companies. Maybe they also have family members that you're doing their books, or you're doing their taxes for. So it's my wife and I plus the kids, and the kids are now at the age where they're starting to need to start doing taxes, but they're still minors, so we still need to kind of watch out for them. I can create a group for all of that, and I can create a group. In this case, I've got one called ABC Holding Company, where I've got all of these clients are owned by the same person, right? All these companies are owned by the same person, and I can see all the projects and where we're at with those projects just by coming and looking at that group. Okay. That's important. That's important because if a client calls in, they want to know what's going on with all their businesses. It's really quick and easy for you to be able to kind of jump in and say, oh, hey, here's where we're at with everything. Here's what's going on with all of your firms, all of your companies, without having to go too deep into like trying to figure that out, or trying to go find, okay, well, how's this client connected? Oh, we missed that one. We don't have to worry about all that. When we create the client, we actually add them to the groups they belong to, and then we're able to quickly filter by those groups and just see the ones that we want. So pretty helpful tool there. And you can use it for more than just, filtering. You're actually going to be able to, if I come in and create a new project altogether, when I go create a project, I can either create it one of two ways, either from scratch or from a template, or I can go ahead and create a whole new template and then use that as the project that I want to create. But if I am coming in and creating this, I can actually create, like I can come in and pick, like, I got tons of different ones in this particular one for monthly bookkeeping. So let's just look at this one, for example. I can create it for a single client, or I can create it for a whole group of clients all at once, right? And I can do this by like manually checking off all the ones I want, or I can just say, hey, go create it for everyone that's a part of this group, right? And it makes it really simple for me to go create that project for all of those clients all at the same time. So pretty cool functionality there. Okay. And let's go ahead and come out of this. So coming back to this page here. Again, we talked about how you can filter this, and you can actually save those once you've created a filter. Like if I filter everything for me, I can then come in here and say, save this. Once I've got the filters that I want, I can actually save it, name it whatever I want. And I can make that my default view as well. So that when I first log into the platform, or when I come back to this page later on, it will automatically take me to this particular report instead of taking me to everything every time. So you can actually pick what view you want as your default. But that said, the whole point of this is for you to be able to look at this one line and understand where we're at with the project holistically, right? So just by looking at this, I can tell that for DRC, who's our client, we're working on his monthly bookkeeping for September of 2024. We're ready to archive some documents. We're waiting on the client to get us some information back. We've completed 10 out of the 13 total tasks. Internally, we've communicated about it 3 times, and I can actually click on here and see that internal communication between Carolina, myself, and in this case, I've brought in Casey to help assist Carolina, so we can see all that in one place, right? I can also go ahead and comment directly in here as well, so I can actually add a message like Casey hasn't responded. Casey, you know. So once I send that out, he's going to get a notification inside of his notification center, or if he wants, he can actually receive that notification via email as well, letting him know, hey, that something's going on here. Now you're also going to see here the client tasks. In this case, it shows waiting on client. We requested 7 items from the client. We got 5 things back, so we're still waiting on those other 2 items, right? So I can easily tell that here. The start date shows me exactly when we were supposed to start this project. I can set up an internal due date as well as a hard due date. This is red right now because obviously this is overdue. It's well past that time. Okay. I can also see which of my employees are currently assigned to this work. So in this case, this is currently sitting on both Abdullah and Carolina's desk. So I know who to go talk to if I need to understand anything more about the project. And I can also see that we budgeted 4 hours for this project, but we've already gone to 5, just over 5 hours. So we can see all that information here, and you can filter these different columns and decide what order they're in and what you want to see, what you don't want to see. If I don't care about the actual versus budgeted time, or I don't care about the internal due date, right? I can actually filter that out of here to make it a little less noisy for me. So pretty cool functionality in here. Now, when you go into the actual projects themselves, you will see we have 2 different types of sections. So there's this section here, which is a client task section, and then there's a team task section. Now, you can call these whatever you want. I can come in here and rename this, call it whatever it is I want to call it. But these are 2 different types of sections because we're asking for 2 different things. Okay, in this case, this is a checklist, or this is a list of things that we need from the customer, right? So I can actually create additional tasks, and then I can send it out to the client, and I can have that scheduled to go out at a certain time, or I can say send it right now. Or on the scale plan, you have the option of saying send this out once my team completes this set of tasks, or once the client gets me this other set of things, then I want to send out this request. So we can actually automate when that goes out, either by scheduling it, by setting a dependency saying when all this other stuff is done, then send this out, or we can say send it out immediately. When we do go send it out, you'll actually see here, you can pick which contact at the client site gets the notification. We can pick what notification they get. We can actually create our own custom ones on the scale plan, and then have the notification that goes out to the client say whatever we want. We can also pick a representative from our team for it to look like it's coming from. Okay. And this is pretty key because I'm the one sending it out, but I want it to look like it's coming from Carolina. That way, if the client responds to that notification, Carolina is the one that gets the notification, she's the one that gets the response, not me. Okay. So I might be the admin doing the work and sending it out, but if they respond, I want that to go to Carolina because she's better qualified to actually answer those questions, or she's the one that actually needs that information. I'm just the one sending it out. Okay. Or if the system's sending it out, we know who to respond, like who that response should go to as well. And then you'll also see here when the next reminder is going to be, when the last reminder was sent out. So you see all that in here. You'll also be able to tell if we're on the scale plan, you do have the auto reminder function. What this is if the client has not completed all the tasks, it sends them a reminder for only the things that they have not completed. Okay, so in this case, we see here we had 3, 4, 5, 6 different tasks that we requested the client to do. They've only completed 4. So when it sends out the reminder, it's only going to remind them about these two things. It's not going to remind them about everything. And of course, we can figure out and customize the notification that goes out to the client on the reminder as well. Okay. So this is how you would actually do that. You can actually see here that we can do everything from request signatures from the clients to have them. In this case, I'm telling them I need you to schedule time with me. We're actually sending them. In this case, I'm sending them to Calendly. So it automatically, the button that the client's going to see is going to say schedule time. They click on it and it's going to take them to whatever third-party system I'm using to schedule that meeting, right? Or I could actually have them, I can attach something and have them download it and then fill it back out and send it back to me. In this case, I can have them actually upload documents, right? So they'll see an upload document button. They'll click on it. They'll be able to upload it. And then when they upload it, I'll actually be able to see it right here. And I can actually click on it to be able to preview it or download it should I need to, right? So again, I click on it. Like in this case, it's allowing me to preview it. So I can see it. I can choose to download it, print it out, do whatever I need to do. Okay. It makes it really nice and simple for you to be able to get that information to the client and also from the client as needed. Okay. And if I've got this collapsed, I can actually see how many total documents we have in here. Right. So in this case, the client uploaded 5 different documents. So I can actually come in here and see all of them. Okay. Then we have our team tasks. Team tasks is pretty cool because we can actually set all sorts of automations on this, right? As an example, I can actually have the system automate these tags so that as I complete tasks, the tags will automatically adjust. Okay. And we can do that by coming in here and saying, when this task is complete, we want the system to add this tag and remove this one, right? Or in this case, I'm telling the system, when this task is complete, send this completed bookkeeping email to the client. And it will show you which contact the client side it's sending it to, or it can send it to multiples. This is a pretty cool function because in this case, what I'm basically doing is just telling the system, when this is complete, here's the action I want you to take. We have 3 options. Either change a tag, which is what we're doing up here, send an email, or go create a whole other project altogether, right? So I'm done with the client onboarding. I want the system to go create the monthly bookkeeping project, or I want the system to go create the tax project so that I don't have to actually stop what I'm doing to go create that and assign it to the client. The system will do it for me. In here, I'm now able to come in and actually say, in this case, I want to send an email. So I'm going to tell it which email out of my email template library I want it to send. Now, I can actually create and customize my own library by coming in here and actually adding new templates or just picking the ones that I see here and then customizing it the way I want. Now, in this case, I've actually called it completed bookkeeping. I've put the subject line in, and I've actually put these placeholders in so that the system automatically picks up on the project title and the accounting period. So that in this case, it's going to say we've completed your monthly bookkeeping for, and in this case, whatever the month is that we're working on, right? And then it'll also do that in here so that the client gets a message that's actually up to date, showing exactly what it is that we've done, right? And then I've even got links in here to the portal so they can go quickly access the portal. I've got links to my calendar so they can quickly go book times with me if they need to meet with me about something. We can put all sorts of different things inside of here, including these hyperlinks. So what's going to end up happening here is I can go ahead and tell it exactly which contact. You can build this as a part of the template so that it actually sends out automatically. But when I hit save and the client, and we actually complete this task, the system is going to say, hey, we're about to send an email out. So it's letting your employee know, it looks like you're trying to close this task out. If you do that, we're going to send out an email. Are you sure you're ready to send that out? Once they hit confirm, it's going to send out the email to the client. So the client's going to actually see that email that we just sent out the way that we wanted it sent, right? And then, of course, I can actually create additional sections with different internal tasks that we need to complete or different client tasks that need to be completed, okay? It's really easy to add a new section. You just come in here and tell it which type of section. Is it internal? So we need to be able to assign the work to internal team members, or is it external? We need to be able to request things from the client or request the client goes and completes certain things, whether it's receiving documents and notifying us that they got it, whether it's uploading documents to us, whether it's signing a document, going to scheduled time, answering a question, whatever it might be, right? Those client tasks are going to be listed here. So those are the differences between the two different sections. And you can have as many sections with as many tasks inside those sections as you need. Okay. So going over to the portal side. So let's pretend that, this, I'm just going to get rid of some of these. Just uncheck some of this as well. So let's say I want to actually request this from the client. The client hasn't actually done anything on this. When I go send it out, again, I can either schedule it or make it dependent on something else. I'm going to go ahead and send it out right now, and I'm going to pick which contact I want to be the notification or to get that email. So when I hit send notification now, the system's going to send the notification out to the client. So the client's going to get an email. It's going to look something similar to what we're going to see here. Okay. By the way, this is the email that I just sent out whenever we completed that task. And this is the one that we just sent to say, hey, we need this information from you. Okay. So we can customize this. You guys will notice it will look like it's coming from your company, but it is coming from a no reply email address. Okay. And that is because we want to make sure that the email doesn't end up in spam. So we manage that relationship with, the email carrier or email service providers to make sure that they don't put us in spam. They don't put these emails in spam. But that said, clients are going to reply either way. So what we want to be able to do is when the client actually hits reply, because we selected Carolina as the representative, it auto generates Carolina's email for the response. So it's going to send it to Carolina and not send it to the no reply email. All right. But when we get this, the client's going to look at it. On the scale plan, we can customize it with your logo, customize everything that it says. On the team and solo plan, it's just going to have your company name here, and this is going to be a standardized message. It's going to go across. This will change because this adjusts based on what you've asked the client to do. Okay. And then when you come in here and hit view and manage tasks, or when the client comes in and hits view and manage tasks, it's going to say, hey, we need to verify your identity. And in this case, it's going to send me a text message with the verification code. So they're going to hit continue. I'm going to get the text as the client, and I'll punch that in to be able to access my account. I can remember the code in my own phone. There we go. So I punched it in. I'm now in the portal. So you guys notice the client didn't have to remember a username. They didn't have to remember a password, and you didn't have to become tech support for the customer because they don't know how to get in. Really, really handy, especially when you're doing things like taxes and bookkeeping, and they're not hopping into the portal very often. They're going to forget their username. They're going to forget their password. You're going to become support. We don't want that to happen. This makes it so much simpler. They get the link, they click on it, it knows who they are. So it says, hey, before we actually let you in, we need to verify your identity. Verify your identity with this one-time code. They punch it in, they're in the portal. Okay. Now they can actually see the things that we've requested. In this case, I've already uploaded a lot of documents, but let's say the client comes in, uploads, this document here. It updates. They move on to the next thing. Before they even move on, you notice the system reminds them, hey, it looks like you completed this. So go ahead and mark it complete. Otherwise, you're still going to get reminders. So if they hit mark complete, it checks it off for them and then lets them go about their day doing whatever else they need to do, right? So they can come in, they can upload in here, complete that. Over here, you saw this one says schedule time with me. They hit schedule time. And it takes them, in this case, to a whole third-party different, opens up a new tab, third-party system. They can come in, they can actually book their time and do what they need to do, right? So it makes it really, really simple for them to actually do what they need to do. And even if we're having to send them somewhere else to get something done, they're starting in here. And this is actually directing them exactly where they need to go. So it makes it really simple on there. Okay. And as they complete the tasks here, we're going to notice on our end, right, that those tasks are going to get updated in here. So let me just refresh this. And we'll see that these, in this case, the client tasks have been updated. The tag itself changed from waiting on client to client info received. So we actually know what's going on. When we're back over here on this this page, we actually be able to filter and say, show me everything where the client info has been received, right? And then I can actually see all that here, okay? In this case, I sent out different requests. I received one of them back. I'm still waiting on one of the other requests to come back. That's why you're seeing this like that. So pretty cool functionality in here. Helps keep track of everything that's going on. Helps, you'll notice that like situations like this where it goes from Anthony to Carolina, Carolina to me, right? And then me back to Carolina. At these handoff points, the employees are going to get notified, right? The system's going to actually let them know, hey, this task is ready for you to start, right? So this person completed their work, so it's now ready for you to start working on this, right? Or this client uploaded their bank statements. Now it's ready. This task is ready for you to start going. So you're actually going to get these notifications and you're going to see what all's happening. So you're not missing information and you're actually able to see what's going on. Not only that, but whenever something switches from one person to another on the actual workflow pages, it's going to change over here as well. So if they've got this set up to say, show me all of my work, anything that, if it comes out of Anthony's bucket and moves over to mine, it's going to automatically show up here. So I'm not going to have to worry about missing it. There's multiple ways for me to be able to see my work and what is going on. So I know we've gone over a lot so far. There's quite a bit more, but I want to just take a quick pause to see if there's any questions about what we've talked about so far before I jump over or move on. So, question from Leonard was, how do you set up the portal? It's pretty simple. When you create the client, Leonard, and you send out that initial request, or you'll see that when you go into a client, you actually have a file section as well. So you can actually create certain folders, and then you can decide if that folder should be visible to the client or kept internal only, right? So if it's green like this, it means that the client, at least one contact at the client site can see it. So either send them the request through the workflows or the projects, or you can come in here and say, share this with the client. And when I say, I want to share this, I'm going to add this contact here. When I hit save, it's going to say, hey, how do you want to do this? Right? Are we going to notify Sharam? So you can say share only or share and notify. When you say share and notify, he gets an email, which gives him access to the portal as well. Right? So the main thing is either requesting something or sharing something with a client will activate their portal and send it out to them. Okay. Let's see. Is the secure code the only way for clients to access the portal? Yes, we have to. We're not using. It's a passwordless portal, so they are going to get a link, and then when they get the link, they're going to click on it, and it's going to ask them to verify their identity using that code to be able to get in. So, is text messaging available to the client? So right now, you'll actually see there's actually a client chat feature here as well, and you can actually message with a client. This is done through the portal, but the system can text message the client to let them know there's a new message inside the portal, or remind them that they still owe you something. And in the text message, it actually gives them a link that they can click on, and it takes them to a web-based version. A mobile version of the system. It's not an app, but it is a web-based mobile version, so that they can actually see and do everything that they can do, on their computer, but right there on their actual phone, and it is mobile friendly. So yes, they can get text messages, but it's not actually going to say what you asked them in the message, or it's not going to actually tell them, hey, here's a list of things that we need. It's just going to take them to that in the portal. Okay. Is there a specific onboarding form that populates CRM for onboarding a new client, or do you build out an onboarding project to handle this? So that's a good question, Tim. It depends. on how you guys want to set it up. There's different ways we can do this. We can have them fill out a form, and then we can use Zapier to pull that information in and then create the client, or you can do it through the proposals. Whenever we talk about proposals, you'll see that. Or you can actually have either way, you can actually have those create what we call a client onboarding project, which will then request what we need to request from the client. Like, hey, we'll bring you on. We're going to be doing payroll. We're going to be doing tax. We're going to be doing bookkeeping, or maybe we're doing all three. So depending on what it is that we're doing, the system can say, okay, well, we can choose which client onboarding template we want, which will then have different things that we're going to ask the client for, right? Because if I'm bringing them on for bookkeeping, I need access to their QuickBooks. I need, their bank statements. I need all this other information that we can go request. If I'm just doing taxes, I just might need their last year's tax return, their, W-2s, 1099s, all that good stuff that we're going to ask for, right? So depending on what you're doing, we can actually have the system request different things, okay? Let's see. How does FC handle one-off unique tasks versus recurring tasks that happen in projects? Great question, Tim. So if we're looking inside of an actual project, and what one of the things that we're doing with these projects is, well, you create the project, and you can create the project from a template, like I was talking about earlier. I like to compare the templates to, when they're building a new neighborhood, they generally have like a model home at the front of the neighborhood. When you walk in, they can show you all the floor plans that they can build, and you're seeing that on paper. They're saying, hey, look, here's the different ones that we can build. Great. You pick the floor plan you want. After that, they generally send you to some kind of a design center where you're going to pick out your carpet and your, your flooring and your cabinetry and your colors and all that good stuff. And you're going to customize it to make it your own. It's the same kind of idea with these project templates, because when I create a project template for a client, I'm doing it from this standardized template. But once I get into that actual project, I can go customize it and make it whatever I want. Maybe I'm doing bookkeeping. For this client, we got 10 accounts we need to reconcile. Another one, we might only have 2, right? This one, we have these really weird things that we got to go do. So that doesn't really apply to everybody else. I can go add all that in, and I can go customize that. And when I tell the system to recur that project, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, daily, weekly, however often you have it recurring, we can tell the platform, create the recurrence based off the actual customized version, not the template. But every now and again, we run into these situations like Tim's talking about, where maybe I got a one-off thing that I got to do this month that I don't need to do every other month. So when I make that change here, I don't want it to have to recur every other month or every other quarter, however often we have it recurring. So what you're going to do there is you're going to come in and you're going to add that request, right? Like one-off task. So we're going to add that in. We can assign it to whichever employee we want, right? We can set our due date for it, all that good stuff. But what I'm also going to do is click in here and say, hey, this is not recurring. This is a one-off situation. So I'm going to just say, don't recur with the project. Okay. That way it doesn't recur every time we need to request this, or every time this project comes up. So next month it won't be there, right? But it'll be here for this month. And I can assign it to whoever I need to, and I can create subtasks around it. I can add descriptions. I can create dependencies, add attachments, all that good stuff, right? We still are able to do all that here. But that is going to be a one-off task, and when I'm done, we'll complete it, and it will not recur with this project next month. You can also do the same thing if this project is set to recurring, which this one isn't. I'm going to edit it and make it recurring so you guys can actually see what it is I'm looking at. You guys notice the client tasks can also be either recurring or non-recurring. This is something I only need to happen every now and again. I can tell it, don't recur this with the project. Okay. So this one's recurring, this one is not, right? So we can customize it however we need based on that particular client. If we got a one-off thing that we got to ask them for this month, we can absolutely do that and not make that something that recurs every month. Okay. But the rest of the project will recur as needed. So hopefully that answers your question there, Tim. But all right. So moving on from there, if we go look at our clients tab, this is the client dashboard where you're going to be able to come in here. You're going to be able to filter for the clients. You can actually filter by active, inactive, whether or not they came in from QuickBooks, who the assigned employees are to this. I want to see everything that George is assigned, or all the clients George is assigned to, or I want to see everything that's in this group. Or I can actually say, I want to see everyone that's in the 1040 group, in the ABC Holding Company group. This is right now showing me all the clients that are in at least one of these. Okay. If I want to only look at the ones that are specifically in both, I got to come in here and say must be in all selected groups. And it only shows me the clients that are listed in both of those groups. Okay. So it makes it pretty simple for me to kind of come in and filter and see what it is that I want to see. Okay. Also, I can actually see all this information that we have here about the client. I can actually filter which specific fields I want to be able to see, and I can make up my own fields about these clients. And that's what's so great about the system is it allows you to customize so much of the platform, so much of what you want to know. When you click into a client, it takes you to what we call the client profile, right? In this case, we're looking at the dashboard view of the client's profile. So what I'm looking at here is I can quickly look at this and tell we have 8 open projects for this client. I can see all the notes that I have for this client. In this case, it's just giving me a little synopsis, just a little quick summary of what's going on here. But if I say view all the notes, it takes me to the notes tab. So I can actually see I've got pages of notes on this particular client, and I can actually see all that information. Okay. What you're also going to notice is we have this transactions piece, which is basically going into QuickBooks, and it's pulling all the uncategorized transactions out of whichever accounts I tell it to. And I can then come in and actually ask the client, what was this for, right? So if the client hadn't responded, it actually sends a message out to the client saying, what is this transaction for? And then when they respond back, I'm actually able to come in here and categorize the vendor, the category, the class, tax code, customer, billable status, edit the memos. I can also see the memos that have already come in from QuickBooks. I can see all that in here. And then I can actually see the invoices and receipts that they attach inside of there. So what this is actually doing is we can actually automate this process as well to where it automatically pulls this. So all those uncategorized transactions you guys are used to having to go into QuickBooks, exporting a spreadsheet, sending it out to the client, then sending reminders to the client until they actually do it, and then getting their responses back. And then when they do respond back, let's say they did attach some receipts, you got to figure out which receipt goes with which transaction and then enter that into QuickBooks. You don't have to do that anymore. The system's going to do all that for you because what's going to happen is we're telling it which accounts out of the chart of accounts to look at. It then pulls all those in, and based on whatever our schedule is here, if we enabled it, it'll automatically look and say, hey, in the last week, these are all the uncategorized transactions that came in. We're going to send that out to the client and ask them for their input on why they made these purchases. That way we can categorize them correctly. Once that's done on the client side and they upload their invoices or the receipts or whatever, you can then come in here and read it, say, okay, I'm going to categorize this. You categorize it, you hit approve, it updates QuickBooks for you. Okay. And again, this is automatically going out. And if the client doesn't do it, you can tell it how often to send out reminders. Okay. Which is really nice because, again, on the client side, they're looking at the transactions and it just asks, what is this transaction for? They can come in and put in whatever notes they got, purchase. whatever we want to come in here and say. Can't spell today, but they can put in their receipts and all that good stuff. And then we're going to see it on our end. We're going to approve it, or we're going to categorize it, approve it, and then send it out. Okay. And it'd be helpful if I was looking at the same client. That one we just looked at was DRC. This is Adeline Collins, but we'd be able to see it if we come over here to DRC. There we go. So we see where that one came in. We see the receipts that they uploaded, and then we can approve it, which will update QuickBooks. So again, makes it really simple for you to be able to send these out. It makes it really easy for you to be able to access that information. Now, again, the other thing that's really nice about the client profile is that you guys will notice over here on the right, there's this about section. This is all that I have filled out right now, but if you actually look, these are all the fields that I actually have. Okay, only the fields that are filled out, the system sees as relative to that client, so it only shows you the ones that have been filled out. But you can have fields for whatever you want, right? You can make up your own fields by coming up here to the manage fields and adding in whatever fields you want, putting them in whatever order you want, right? And then if it's relevant for that client, you enter it in and it will populate here. Again, just really nice because not only are you able to put in the information so you can quickly come see it, but only the information that's relevant for that client populates. So if I've got certain things that I need to know for all my individuals versus all my, S corps, all my C corps, I can see all that here. The other thing that is really nice about this is the information that is stored in here is searchable. So if you go look at that dashboard that we were looking at earlier, I can search based off of any of these fields, and those fields will populate for me up here as I need to, or as I need them to, right? So if I search for, say, Murray, this client is going to populate because Murray is listed as one of the fields underneath that client, right? Or if I search by a phone number, I'm going to find it. All the clients that are associated with that number. So it makes it really simple. Also on the client profile, you guys will see we do have the billing section now where you can actually see these are the scheduled invoices. These are the invoices that we've started on, whether they're in draft state, overdue, or if they're paid. We'd be able to see that as well. I think I got a couple in here that were paid. This client doesn't ever pay. Well, there we go. Got a couple in here that are paid, but I can actually come through and see like all the different pages on this and see, what all's going on with their invoicing. Okay. So speaking about billing and invoicing, we come over here to the billing section. You guys will actually see, we can actually see their invoices all in here, and we can actually filter it by the client. We can filter it by the status. So if I want to see all my paid invoices, I can see all of them. If I want to see the ones that are just one-time invoices versus the ones that are recurring, right? Or if I want to just see all the recurring, okay? These are in draft right now. So we can actually filter this out by quite a bit, or if I want to filter it by a certain time frame, we can do that as well. So you have all sorts of functionality in here. If you create a new invoice, you can send it out, collect the payment directly. Pretty easy to create the invoice. You just come in here and select the client, select whether it's one-time or recurring. Okay, if it is recurring, you can set up the first invoice date, due date, the actual end date, and how often it's recurring. Whether you want to auto charge the client or not, if you have a payment method on file, you can actually choose the auto file, set up your services. If you're doing time tracking, we'll be able to do that when we release the unbilled report or the WIP reporting that's going to be coming in here. You'll see that coming out fairly soon as well. But you're actually able to send this out and charge the client immediately, or you can say, send them the invoice, let them pay. And then after they've made payment, then all subsequent recurrences, we can do automatic charge if we want, if we check this off. Otherwise, if we don't check this off, it'll just keep sending the invoice. Then they'll keep having to go in and actually make payment. So it's up to you guys on how you do that for the recurring. It says one times, again, just send out the invoice, or if you have the payment method on file, you can auto charge for that as well if you have authorization to do so. Okay. Now, that said, let's look at the proposals and engagement letters, because this is a pretty cool feature and we just released this. So this is the V1 version of it. And what's going to happen here is if I need to create a proposal for a client, I can actually come in here and select which client I want to create the proposal for, right? Who at the client site needs to be the signers. I can title it whatever I want. Oh, let's go ahead and actually give it a title. And I'm just going to call it 2024 taxes for demo day. We can tell it when the proposal start date needs to be. We could tell it, how often we want the system to send out reminders to the client. Okay. We can also add a video link if we need to. And let me go grab one real quick. So I normally have it queued up. Let's see. I'm going to add in that video link. We can enter in our own intro message we want. We can actually have different templates that'll get created for this as well. We'll be able to come in here and select our services, whether they're one-time or recurring. I'm just going to do a one-time real quick. Let's add a service in here for, say, go to tax return. I can adjust the pricing as needed here. Enter in a description if I choose to. And then I can actually select how I want to collect payment and when I want to collect payment as well. Actually, with the when we would do on here, right? I can tell if they're going to be required to put their payment details in or not. I'm going to say no, just because I want to put my card information in here. I'll go ahead and hit continue. We can actually add our own terms and conditions in here as well. So you guys can upload your own terms and conditions and have that save in here. Once we hit preview and send, we're going to be able to see what the client's going to be able to see in the email, what it's going to look like in the proposal itself, right? And we can then send that out to the client. What's nice about this is on V1, we've got it set up right now to where we can send it out, get the acceptance. We're going to get notified once they accept. We're about to release the additional functionality on this where when they do accept, based on the proposal and based on the things that we've requested, it'll know whether we need to create the client onboarding, whether we need to create the tax proposal or the tax work project, and assign the work out to the right employees. All that's going to be added onto this when we release the secondary versions of this, which are coming very, very soon. Like we're already starting to work on a lot of that right now. So all that should be done hopefully by the end of this month. Maybe not all of it, but most of it should be done pretty soon. So let me kind of go back over here and look at the client side because we did just send out that proposal. Customer is going to get the email. It's going to look something like this. They're going to hit review and sign. Oh, I know what's going on there. I'm logged in as a different contact. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I was logged into the portal as a different contact. When I hit review and sign, they're going to get the message. They're going to be able to see that video that we put the link in for. They'll be able to see the messaging, hit continue. They'll be able to actually see the different services. Okay, if we add a description on here, we can actually have the description populate. They'll hit continue. They can enter in their payment information if we choose to allow them to do that. They can do either credit card, bank transfer, hit continue, and then they'll see the terms and conditions if I had uploaded any, and then they would actually be able to come in and sign. And once they accept, it will actually show us, hey, you're all set. They can go into the portal. And also on here will show us that they've accepted. And we're actually able to see, hey, whether or not they actually made payment. You can see all that in one place. So it makes it really nice and simple. And then again, it will actually trigger the client, whatever projects we need to get created and assign the work out accordingly. So, sure, we've got some questions. So let me go check that out and see where we're at. All right. So when you request a document, can you decide where it will go right then, or do we need to move it? I'm assuming, Ken, you're asking about when you request a document, say inside of like the client and the actual projects themselves. When they come in, if the client uploads something to you, right, like when they uploaded this document, I'm going to see it here. But if I go to that client's profile page, okay, so this is the monthly bookkeeping for September of 2024. If I come in here and I go to the client files, right, there's the folders that get created for the client that you create, and you decide whether or not they have access to it. But there's also these project files, and I can actually come in here and say, just show me the ones that are open, right? And underneath this client is that monthly bookkeeping project here. There's two folders that get created in this. One for the things that you've uploaded and that your team has uploaded in here, and then the other for the things that are client attachments, things the client uploaded. So I can see all the documents that the client attached in one place right here. Okay, and again, I can either preview them or choose to download them, print them, do whatever I need to do. But if you want them to go somewhere else, you are going to have to move them yourself out of here and into wherever you want, or take a copy and put them. All right, Leonard's asking, is phone support available for technical questions? So, yes and no. If we need to call you, we can definitely reach out. You're not going to be able to pick up the phone and call in the support. And here's the reason why. You ever actually call a tech company trying to get support for something that you're working on the software? You're going to sit on the phone forever. It takes too long. What we've done instead is we actually have right here at the bottom of your screen, no matter where you're at, you can actually come in here and ask a question. Ask any question you want. The system's going to actually be able to produce a fairly good response, but we'll see what happens whenever I don't like the answer. So if I come in and say how to create an invoice. Or I tell it I'm having an issue with whatever. The system's actually going to have, we've got AI built into this that'll actually think, and it'll give you step-by-step instructions on exactly what to go do. But as soon as it's done spitting that out, which it takes it just generally a couple seconds to do, there we go. If I don't like the way that this responded, you'll see here that it actually gives me the sources with the articles, but it actually asks, was that information helpful? That helped, or I need to talk to a person. Talk to a person. What's really nice about that is when you get on with the person, they can actually set up a Zoom call. They can share your screen. They can see what's going on, and you can actually talk to them. It's a much better, quicker way of getting support, and it solves the actual issues that you're trying to accomplish versus sitting on the phone with somebody for 30 minutes only to realize they thought you were on a different page than you actually are, which is why the issues happening the way you think it is. It's just an easier way whenever we can actually share screens and talk to make it a lot simpler if they can't answer your questions and help you out through the chat immediately. We do offer support though. So are reminders sent out for past due invoices? Yes, there are. So if you're actually looking at the billing section and you look at these actual invoices, you can actually tell it. Oh, hang on a second. Let me go to the billing. We can actually see whenever we create. Let me just do it from here. I'm just creating a quick invoice. And we're going to say send out right here. So on the client reminders, you can tell it how often to send out the invoice reminders. It wasn't showing up here because this is saying auto charge the customer. So there's no reminder needed because once it charges the customer, it's just going to send them an email saying, hey, here's how much we auto charged you, versus this is actually sending out the invoice for them to go make payment, which then you can tell it how often you want them to get reminded. So, is invoicing included in FC subscription, or we need a third party to integrate to like Stripe, CPA charge, etc.? It is included with Financial Sense, so you don't have to go get a third party. You don't need to get CPA charge or Stripe or any of that. Not even your QuickBooks. It's all done through here. But you will see that it does actually sync with QuickBooks. So when you create the invoice here, it'll create the invoice in QuickBooks. Once the invoice is paid, it'll automatically show up that it's been paid as well. So, all right, try to get through as many of these as possible because I know we only got 4 minutes left. I don't mind hanging out for a little bit longer if you guys need it, but just don't want to keep anybody. Is proposal and engagement letter is going to be a part of the standard package, or will it be an add-on? No, it's part of all of our packages. All 3 different packages that we offer will include it. All right. We're an accounting firm based in Montreal, Quebec, and some of our clients are francophones. Any chance we can change the language of communication with our clients? So you can type up everything in French. Like the questions that you have, you can actually do that in French. We don't actually have a system where it's just going to say, hey, change everything to French automatically. What I can tell you guys, we have built the platform really well to where if they come in here and actually have their Google Translate, there's a no, I've got it somewhere on here. Translate, there we go. I can actually come in and tell it which language I want it to translate to. So you see like that translated it in Arabic. I can come in here and let's see. There's another. I can do it. So we're going to choose another language. There we go. So I can actually tell it to translate to French, and it'll automatically switch everything out and change it all over for me. So, but yeah, it works pretty well, and we've got a lot of folks that are over in the Montreal area that use it this way that don't seem to have any issues with it. So, any additional questions that I missed? Let's see. Can we create a report for clients' birthdays, data quality sheets, or checks, i.e. missing key fields? Tim, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there, but yes, you can actually enter like client birthdays in and things like that in the system, and then we can pull different reports based off of it. But for what you're asking for, I highly recommend, folks, if you didn't get all your questions answered, and you got specific things that we want to look at, if you guys actually do a one-on-one demo with one of our account managers or even myself, we can actually go into really deep depth of what exactly y'all need for your firms, and then we can actually show you exactly how the system can work. It's hard to do that on these demo days because it can't get as deep into your questions, but I definitely recommend, and I will have either myself or Tosin will put a link in the comment section to actually give you guys a direct link to go schedule a one-on-one call where we can actually talk more in depth about your questions. So I know we just hit the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour, whatever you want to say. I guess top of the hour. So we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I do want to see if there's any other questions. And I will also, if you hold tight for me, I will grab the link to the booking. Actually, never mind. Tosin just added it in. So if you guys go look at the comments section, there's a link right there for you guys to actually book the demo for a one-on-one call where we can actually go into more detail for you guys. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody who's joined. Looks like one other question came in. I'll take it for just a second. But I want to thank you guys for joining our call. Hopefully you got something out of this. Give me some thumbs up if you guys did get something out of this, if it was helpful. But I appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me today. And let's see, Tim had one last question. Does FC include document storage, or do we need to integrate with a third party, i.e. Dropbox box? So it does have document storage in the platform, which is what we're actually seeing. If we go to a client and go look at the client profile, you can create as many folders as you want. And you can keep folders. You can make the folders internal or external. I'm sorry, I guess I'm doing that hand waves wrong. You can keep them internal to where only me and my staff can see them, or I can choose to make a folder visible to the client so that in the client portal, when the client goes in and trying to get to one, when the client logs into the portal, they're actually able to see only the folders that you've given them access to, which is what this document section is here, right? So in this case, it's one contact that has access to these two companies and they're personal. So they can actually come in here and see the folders and the documents that we've given them access to by coming in here and saying whether or not they actually have access. It'll notate it here in green, but you have unlimited storage in here. You can put as many documents in here as you'd like, whatever type of documents you need. So yeah, definitely use that for your document storage as well. All right, it looks like Leonard had asked a similar question. So you can actually come in here and access them just by coming in and actually seeing. What I will say is this is not for like live document, like working a live document. But again, to go more into depth on that, because we can do quite a bit of other things, and we have some different integrations with like OneDrive, Google Drive, some other ones, SmartVault. But we can talk about some of that. It's better to do those on one-on-one calls so we can actually see what your specific situation is, and then provide you guys with all the different options that you have. But we do offer a document storage in here as well. So again, thank you guys all for your time. Appreciate you guys spending it with me today. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and if you need to, go check out that demo link so that you guys can book one-on-one calls. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.